What's up everyone, it's a nice here, and today I'm going to be doing a comparison video between the Spyderco Stretch and the Spyderco PM2. And this is a video I've been meaning to do for a while just because I recently got this Stretch. I've had this PM2. It's actually like my first really nice knife, so I've had that for years. I've got this probably 6 months ago, and I just recently picked up this new PM2. So I'm going to be comparing these. I definitely have enough use on both of them to tell the difference. But another reason I wanted to do this is because the Stretch is a knife that I think a lot of people just don't think about when it comes to Spyderco. You know, the Paramilitary 2 is probably Spyderco's most popular knife, but the Stretch, it's usually I think it's just in VG10 and ZDP 189 prior to when they dropped it in K390. So when it dropped in K390, I wanted to try it out, and I got it, and I realized, oh wow, this thing is very similar to the Paramilitary 2, just in overall size, in cutting edge, and kind of handle shape. They're just very similar knives to each other. So let's go ahead and get into this video, and keep in mind that the prices on these are going to vary between different steels. I don't even know if you can still get the K390 Stretch. I assume you can or actually I don't know. But I know these K390 line of knives from the Seki City, Japan factory, they aren't like one-time sprint runs or anything. So Spyderco will continue to produce these. So if they are out of stock, I think that they will probably restock. It could take a while, but these did not sell out very fast, so I don't think they should be that hard to get when they come back. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into, let's just go with the looks. Actually, I think looks comparing these, they're both not great looking knives. If I had to say one that I think looks cooler, I probably like this blade shape, like this more clip point blade shape on the Stretch, but these knives look extremely similar to each other. I like this natural micarta, so that's my opinion. This knife looks the best on the table, I think, but it doesn't matter. They both look like pretty much the same. Let's talk about the blade. So the blade, there are some similarities and differences with these. One difference is the actual cutting edge of this. The PM2 blade shape, as you can see, it's mostly belly. There might be a little bit, here, I'll show this one because it's not sharpened as much. It's pretty much belly all through here, and then maybe flat a little bit at the tip and flat all the way towards the plunge, while the Stretch is more of your standard clip point blade where it's just flat here and then it goes to a belly. And if I had a blade shape that I prefer, it is the Paramilitary 2's blade shape. For sharpening, the Stretch is probably easier to sharpen, but both these knives are easy to sharpen. This one, just that belly makes it better for slicing tasks, in my opinion. They're so similar that it's really hard to tell a difference. But one thing I like about both of these is they both have low tips on them, so they are nice if you want to use the tip on that. It's not like it's inaccessible or anything, so that's nice. And yeah, both blade shapes are good, but I do like the Paramilitary 2 blade shape more. I'm going to measure the thickness behind the edge on these two knives. I think that the Stretch might be a little bit thinner. So here is my Stretch. We're looking 17 thousandths behind the edge. And then these Golden Colorado Spydercos usually come like 20, 21-ish behind the edge, so yep, 20 thousandths behind the edge. So the Stretch is a little bit thinner behind the edge. Honestly, 17 thousandths versus 20 thousandths, probably not going to notice a difference. I think this was 15 thousandths, or it is 15 thousandths behind the edge in places when I got it. I think I remember that from my review. So that is a pro to the Stretch. It is thinner behind the edge, but really they're so close, I don't think you're going to be able to tell a difference. So yeah, these blades, they are very similar. They both come in different steels. K390 is probably the best steel out there. There is a K390 PM2, but I assume they're sold out everywhere. You have more variations with the PM2, more steel options. You can really try whatever steel you want in the PM2, so that is an advantage over the Stretch. But yeah, these blades are very similar, really splitting hairs. I don't really have a definite winner between these two blades, honestly. They're just both so similar in so many ways. I will do this is one thing, I almost just dropped that. The stretch has a thinner stock on it. That's something I kind of forgot to mention until now. But I do like that more than the PM2. And the reason is because I'm not hard using either of these knives. Some people do hard use these knives, but the PM2, as you can see, it's really thick up here at its thickest point, and it has a very aggressive taper down to this part, really thin. So a bunch of people are like, that tip is way too thin for hard use, while this stock is super thick. That would be like a hard use stock thickness if it wasn't so thin up here. For this one, it is more thin throughout. So this one, with the thinness at the stock and the thinness behind the edge, it does cut a little bit better than the PM2. I guess I'll say that now. Honestly, I can't really tell that much of a difference. But if I had to choose a blade, I would go with the stretch, I guess, because the blade shape really doesn't mean that much to me. But yeah, let's move on to the fit and finish between these and the lockup. So for this, I'm probably going to go with the PM2. And this, comparing, since I have two different PM2s in a stretch, it is just one stretch. It is a little bit weird to compare the fit and finish. But the stretch is pretty good. It is centered. I can wiggle out a little bit of side to side. No, and then maybe a little bit of up and down, which is something that you kind of see with back locks. And the Seki City Japan factory, just plain and simple, it is not as reliable or has not been as good for me than the Golden Colorado factory. Some people say the Seki City Japan factory is always perfect for them, which I have had a good experience recently, but I just had like a Delica that wasn't very good from Seki City, and I just get more consistent fit and finish and quality from the Golden Colorado factory. So yeah, I'll have to go fit and finish for the PM2. Lockup, also compression lock, in my opinion. Yeah, let's compare these. So back lock versus compression lock. Compression lock is better, in my opinion. I just think it's a better lock. It's probably stronger, which both of these knives won't fail under pressure. And it is more easy to operate one-handed. And for those people who like to play with their knives, this is probably, the PM2 is more fun to play with than this one, which I don't really care. This one works fine. So honestly, the back lock versus the compression lock, I don't mind either one. But the compression lock, I have to give it to the compression lock that it is probably the better locking mechanism. The only downside that comes with it is in ergonomics, which I'll talk about. I'll go ahead and talk about that now. For ergonomics, this is where the stretch really wins it for me. The PM2, I've never really liked. It might just be one of those knives that doesn't fit my hand that well. But one thing I don't like about it is, as you can see, there is like no chamfering around these corners at all. I think it might be easier to see with the G10 one. But they pretty much just broke the edge on here, like broke the 90-degree corner, and that's it. There's really nothing, no chamfering or rounding at all, so it does feel pretty blocky in your hand. And in this grip right here, when you're not choked up, it's just not that comfortable. This is pushing back, sorry, I bumped the camera. This is pushing back into my hand. I can feel the compression lock a little bit. And I know for some people, my hands aren't big enough for this to be a problem, but they actually don't have enough room on here that their pinky hangs off a little bit like this. So I can fit all four of my fingers on here, but just barely, and I don't really have big hands. So that's a thing. The ergonomics on the PM2 I just don't like as much. This is also more aggressive of a ramp up here than on the stretch. So this is more comfortable to hold like this than the PM2 is. And also, this is much more straight on the spine than the PM2 is. This is more curved, which just makes it more comfortable holding it in your hand because it's more of a flat surface and it's hitting your hand evenly throughout. Also choked up, this is really good in this grip. The stretch, some of the best ergonomics on any Spyderco that I have, and as you can see, it is chamfered here much more than the Parmilitary 2. My only complaint with the stretches ergos is from the factory, it was kind of sharp in here, but I just took some like 600 grit sandpaper and it only took a couple minutes and I fixed that. So I say that's more of a fit and finish issue. So the PM2, once again, is our winner for that. But definitely for ergonomics, the stretch wins. Stretch wins it for that one. Now let's talk about the carry. The weight on these, I don't even know. They're similar weight. They are both light enough for me to carry in lightweight shorts, so that's really all I care about. I don't have my scale with me here. The carry position, the PM2 is probably a deeper carry, probably a better carry um, than the stretch, but they're both so similar. It's one of those things. These Battle of the Blades videos, it's like I feel like on knives that are really good comparisons that people really want to see, they're knives that are very similar to each other, and so it might not seem like that good of a video because I feel like so many times I'm like, yeah, they are slightly different, but it really doesn't matter to me. So if I had to give a winner to the carry, it would probably be the PM2, but still, it's like they're both fine. They both work just fine. You can get a deep carry clip for these if you'd like. I don't mind how the clips are right now. So for me, carries are a tie, but I guess if I'm thinking for everybody out there, I'll go the PM2 probably is the better carry. For the action, Paramilitary 2 because of the compression lock, but the stretch is good too for a back lock. Really good. Spyderco does a great job with back locks, but yeah, I guess PM2 wins for that. So let's just kind of look back at this, or in value, I would have to give it to the stretch because the K390 stretch, I got this, I believe it was 140 when I picked it up. Yeah, I think it was 140 bucks. And I think a S30V, like Black G10 PM2 is like 150, if I'm not mistaken. And this, I think, was like 190-ish. So the stretch is the better value, in my opinion. I think this is a lot. You're getting a better value, and I don't really know a different way to put it. But let's kind of look back on this comparison and see who wins the important categories. So fit and finish and lockup, I give that to the PM2. Golden Colorado is more consistent for me. Usually the edges are knocked down on here. This knife with this new PM2 with the full liners just feels smoother and cleaner than even this one. Like even just the sound, there's that, and then this one just has some lock stick. But I guess that could be a duck on fit and finish, but that's probably going to go away soon, and it doesn't really bother me that much. But yeah, fit and finish and lockup for the PM2 because of the compression lock, and it's in Golden Colorado. The blade is thinner on the stretch, which is an advantage in my opinion. The ergonomics stretch wins. So stretch wins, we'll say it barely wins in blade. I don't think it should come up. I don't think your decision should factor in the blades that much because they're both good. But stretch wins ergonomics. This wins fit and finish. Carry, they're about the same. Action, this wins. So if you care about action, PM2, value, the stretch wins. So in my opinion, like I said, if you care about action and fit and finish, PM2 is your go-to because I know some people don't like the back lock, but for me, the stretch, I actually like it more than the PM2 because of the ergonomics, because of the thinner blade, and that's what I look for. Like if I had to say two things that I look for in a knife, it's good edge geometry and good ergonomics. Those are my two main things that I care about. And the stretch does beat the PM2 in those, and value, that's just icing on the cake in my opinion. But the PM2, I would say go for this if you don't mind to spend the extra money. Maybe if you want a specific type of sprint run that's in the PM2 that won't be in the stretch just because this isn't as popular of a knife. But for me, since the ergonomics are better, since it's thinner behind the edge, and K390 is a plus, a really good steel that you can get on this, you can also get on the PM2, I'm going to go with the stretch. For the average person, like let's say I was getting this for someone as a gift, I'd probably go with the PM2 just because the compression lock is cooler than a back lock, but it doesn't, I don't really care compression lock versus back lock. I'm not really picky about locking mechanisms. Oh, also FRN, that's something that I forgot to bring up. PM2 is in G10 in micarta, and the stretch is in FRN. I think there's a G10 stretch, but really it doesn't bother me. FRN, I like it. It's fine. It works good. So if if you hate FRN, you probably would obviously go with a PM2 and not really even watch this video. But for me, the stretch wins because it's a better cutting tool, in my opinion. And the PM2 is just a more refined pocket knife for things that you're not using a pocket knife for. The PM2 is better, but for me, I would have to go with the stretch. So that's all I got for today. Sorry for at the end. I feel like I just kind of rambled and said the same thing over and over for like 5 minutes. But that's all I got today. Hope you guys are having a good new year. Yeah. We hit 2,000 subscribers, so I'm really happy about that. Thank you for all the people that have subscribed. I remember when my goal was 100 subscribers a couple years ago, and I'm just happy we're at 2,000. So thank you all for subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video.